Hey everyone, it's Sam Ovens here, and today I wanted to introduce you to something that's helped me in my life and in my business, a huge amount, and that is something called chunking. So you're probably thinking, what is chunking? What's it all about? Well, chunking is really the secret to achieving massive tasks. It's the secret to achieving monumental things. And I'll give you an example. Like, there is actually humans who have eaten entire airplanes, like an entire airplane or a train. I'm not joking. There's humans who have eaten trains and airplanes. Now, you're probably thinking, how on earth do they do that? How do you fit that in you? It's impossible. Well, what they do is they actually grind it down and they turn it into fine powder. And it's like, it's kind of like, it's like the thickness of ground pepper. And then on every single meal they have, they just grab out a container and they just sprinkle some of the metal shavings or the metal dust onto their meal, and then they just eat it. And the digestive system doesn't really, panic or go crazy eating a little bit of this stuff every single day. And over time, a human being is able to eat an entire airplane or an entire train. And I'm not joking, you can look this stuff up. So what's my point with all of this? Because I'm sure a lot of you don't want to eat a plane or an airplane, or if you do, you know how. But what this is it's chunking. And what chunking is it's basically a way of taking a big task or a big goal and then just breaking it down into smaller and smaller pieces until they become a size that you can cope with on a day-to-day basis. Because I see people make this classic mistake all the time. They seem to think if it can't be fully achieved from start to finish in the space of a day or a week or a month, then they don't even bother trying to do it. And it's stupid, because most things that are actually worthwhile and most things that are worth actually doing, they take a long period of time. They're long-term missions, they're long-term objectives. And I see this in the business world all the time. Especially these days, people are so hooked on social media and they're so wired to instant gratification that they expect everything to be done now, and they expect to get the results and reap the rewards now. Because when you do something on social media, you do a post and then you get your likes and you get your comments and it's instant. And people are so wired to this instant gratification hook that when they go to do something that's slightly longer term, they just can't. Their brain spasms out and they can't contain themselves. Their arms almost start twitching because, they're working on something and they can't see the payback of it immediately. And I see this everywhere throughout society these days. Probably the main thing that's plaguing people these days, like a disease, is this instant gratification thing, which comes from social media. And, if you really want to achieve something big, well, it's going to take time, it's going to be long term. So really the secret is to chunk it. And to really drive this point home, I'll give you an example. So in my business, I teach people how to start their own consulting businesses. I teach a complete stranger who knows nothing about business to start their own consulting business and actually get clients, help their clients, and get paid money and make a profit. Now that's a huge transformation for somebody to make. This person has no idea how to even do business. They don't know how to do sales. They don't know how accounting works. They don't know how any of this stuff works, and they don't even know what their niche is going to be, who their client's going to be. They don't know any of this. So a lot of people would look at that task and say, impossible. But I know it's not impossible because I did it myself, and what I had to do to figure out how to create the training and teach other people how to do it too was I had to chunk it down into bite-sized pieces. I had to really study and analyze the whole journey that I made myself and break it down into small pieces, small palatable bite-sized pieces that people could consume. And when I did that, I was able to give these people small tasks that they can complete in an hour, 2 hours, and they can work on day to day. And over a period of time, things start to compound and things start to accrue and build up and momentum is made. And when you get that momentum, things start happening. And so through the process of chunking, I've been able to not only start my own consulting business from scratch out of my parents' garage and grow it to the point now where it's making 20 million a year and move into this place here in Manhattan here. I was able to achieve that through chunking myself. I looked at this journey, I was like, all right, I want to start a business, But instead of trying to start a business and make 20 million on day one or week one, which is what I swear most people think that they're going to do when they start a business, that doesn't happen. You have to chunk it down. What do I need to learn today? Break it down. All right, what would be, if I want to be there in 5 years or 10 years, all right, what do I need to achieve this year? Start from the big picture view. Where do you want to go in 5, 10 years? Then reverse engineer it backwards. Start at the end. Work from the big picture to the small. Where do you want to be in 5 to 10 years? Define that, figure it out. Because, what gets measured gets done. And if you don't have a goal and if you're not measuring your progress towards that goal, then I can tell you that you'll be floundering around in a labyrinth of confusion and frustration, not knowing what to do each day and feeling guilty of it, which is messed up because there's no reason to really feel guilt because you don't even know what you want anyway. So it's a state of perpetual confusion, and it's a place that I wish no one be in because it's horrible, because you're not making any progress and you feel bad about it, and there's no way to really fix it. So the way to fix it is to define your goal. What do you want? Where do you want to be 5 years from now, 10 years from now? Make it specific, write it down. Once you've got it down, reverse engineer it. Where do you need to be at the end of this year? 12 months, that's a good time frame to work in. Once you know where you need to be at the end of the year, now reverse engineer it back to the months. What do you need to achieve this month? Once you know where you want to be this month, now reverse engineer it into the weeks. What do you need to do week to week to achieve where you need to be at the end of the month? All right, now we know what we're doing in the weeks. All right, now let's break it down into days. What do we need to do each day in order to achieve what we want to achieve this week? Now we've got it into days. All right, now let's chunk it into hours. What do I need to do hour by hour from when I wake up to when I go to bed to achieve this thing today? Then break it out. Then when you approach each hour, you know what to do. You just look at your list, you look at your to-do list, and you execute, you do it. That is how progress is made. That's how things are done. A lot of people, I swear they think it's like black magic or something. Like, oh man, how did that guy start a business and make money and do all of that? They're like, maybe he summoned some weird thing or did some voodoo stuff, or maybe he got struck by lightning or some weird crap like that. That's not how it works. That's how people who don't understand things rationalize things, and that's messed up. The way anyone achieves anything is by figuring out what they want, reverse engineering it, chunking it into small bite-sized pieces, writing it down, committing it to paper, and then executing on it day to day. And I'll give you a tip. One of the best things you can do in your life, once you know your goals and all of that, is to live in day-sized compartments. And what I mean by that is, a lot of people, I swear they live month to month, or they live year to year, and they only think really about the month. But the way any of us ever get something done is right now. It's by focusing on right now. And what I like to do, and this is a principle and a habit that I installed in myself to be able to get things done, and that's living in day-tight compartments. So how do you do that? Well, instead of thinking about the week, the month, the year, just think about the day. Just think about that day as if it's isolated, like at the end when you go to sleep and at the start when you wake up. What are you going to get done today? Define that. That's the most important thing. More so really than your yearly goals and things like that. I mean, don't get me wrong, those are important, but those are just big picture things. They're targets. And targets are useless unless you're shooting. And that's what your day-tight compartments are for. Therefore, executing on what you know needs to be done so that you can get to that target and hit it. And so what you should try and do is try to live in day-tight compartments as well. Instead of worrying about months and weeks, today. What are you going to get done today? And, this brings up another interesting point. So, yesterday, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, Amazon just released its latest letters to shareholders. If you haven't read these things, then you need to read them. It's honestly some of the best content I've ever read in my entire life, and I've read quite a lot of stuff. And they're free. And I'll include a link beneath this video to the letters to shareholders. I compiled all of them into one PDF, and I even did a video where I shoot a quick analysis of them and give you my feedback, my top 5 lessons. So that'll be in a link beneath this video. But I read their latest letters to shareholders, And in there, Jeff Bezos talks about doing a handstand. And he says that one of his executives really wanted to do good handstands. And she was so obsessed with doing good handstands that she actually joined a class to try and figure out how to do them. And in this class, she still wasn't able to really do a perfect handstand, and she was a little bit upset about it. And then, so what she did is she hired a coach on how to teach her how to do professional handstands, perfect handstands. And the first thing the coach said to her when he started working with her was, most people think that you can do a perfect handstand in like 2 weeks, but the reality of it is that it actually takes 6 months of daily practice every day. That was the first thing he said to her. And Jeff Bezos said that, one of the most important things that you can have when you're trying to achieve a goal is realistic expectations. And that was the point he was trying to make in this letters to shareholders. And what he's trying to say is that, if you want to achieve something big, you've got to have realistic expectations. So when you get into business, if you're starting your first business, don't expect to make $20 million in the first week. Doesn't happen. And, you can expect to get some clients and make some money, but, you're not going to be making a lot of money for a while. And the best thing you can really do for yourself is set some realistic expectations. And when you set realistic expectations, it just becomes normal. You know what you need to do day to day, and you know what you need to do week to week, month to month, and all of that to get to where you want to go. Because one of the most disheartening things is having unrealistic expectations, because then, of course, what's going to happen is they're not going to come true, and then you're going to feel real bad about it. So that was the point Bezos was trying to make with that. And I think it's a good one, because in this modern day world, I see a lot of people shouting on Facebook and YouTube and stuff like, start a business and make millions of dollars by doing nothing and really learning nothing, and you can do it now. And I've never seen that happen. And, I'd pay someone to see that happen, because I know it can't. And if it did, I'd be doing that. But it doesn't exist. So it's, you're choosing to believe in an illusion. And if you choose to believe in an illusion, then you're just fooling yourself. You're believing a lie. And the truth is, to achieve anything big, to achieve any task that's worthwhile, it's going to take time, and it's going to take daily practice every day, and that's really what it takes. And the secret to achieving that goal is through chunking, breaking it down into small pieces that you can bite off. You don't even try and eat a steak in one bite. It just doesn't work. You have to cut it into pieces and work on it, and when you bite it into small pieces, chew them off one at a time, you get the steak eaten, you get the job done. Just like that guy, or multiple guys have eaten airplanes and trains, that's how you can achieve the task that you want to achieve. That's how you can start your business and get to where you want to go in life. And I want to leave you with, one final point here, which is one that I always like to remember. And that is that you never stare at the summit. And this is something which I learned from watching a lot of mountaineering movies. And I love watching those movies because I kind of consider myself similar to those guys. Like, I'm trying to reach a pinnacle. I'm trying to climb a mountain. And, it's not an actual mountain. I'm trying to, start a business and grow it to a particular point. But it's really no different from a mountaineering person who's trying to climb a summit. He's trying to reach a pinnacle. And there's a saying among mountaineers and climbers that is, don't stare at the summit. That is how you get disheartened, because you're just staring at it and you just keep going and you don't get there and you get worn out. And that's how people give up, and that's how people don't get to the summit. By fixating on the summit and obsessing over the summit, you don't get there. So release your attachment to the goal. Stop fixating your eyes on like Lamborghinis and things and these flashy lifestyles, and fixate instead your eyes, what they do in mountaineering. Instead of fixating on the summit, you stare at your boots. That's what you do. Because when you stare at your boots, you just focus on making another step. One more step, one more step, one more step. Just look at your boots. Every now and then you can look up and look at the summit, but then you get eyes back down on the boots. So in the business world, stop fixating on the goal and, waiting for it to happen, because it's not going to happen. It's only going to happen if you stare at your boots. Focus on what you can do today. Chunk it down into bite-sized pieces. What is the step that you can take today or right now to get to where you want to go, to get to the summit? So that's it for this video. I wanted to tell you, if you want to achieve, big things in life, or you want to start your own business or whatever, define that goal, make it clear, write it down, figure out where you want to be 5-10 years from now, reverse engineer it back, go from the year into the months, into the weeks, into the days, into the hours, write it down, and then execute. And keep your eyes on your boots. Make one step at a time. So if you liked this video, what I want you to do is just click that subscribe button right there to get more videos like this. I release one of these videos every week. Also, if you liked it, click that like button, and then let me know what you think in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, just write me a comment. I'm going to be checking and replying to all of the comments myself personally. So thanks for watching this video, and I look forward to producing another one for you soon.